to detect a fraud.
Start kar do recording.
Friends, we have in recent past seen in corporates, n number of frauds have been detected. Nevertheless, government have become very vigilant, and there are more assignments of forensic audit to chartered accountants of late. Even in this new normal, when is running for survival, we cannot afford any such rotten transaction. We shall disturb our pillar, a pillar of any organization. Hence, we need to be vigilant, and this is how we need to learn how we should find out how we need to be vigilant. A bit about sponsors. This is an initiative by MSME Perspective. It is into MSME advisory. Other sponsors are Sparsh Advisory into debt syndication. Of course, Blossom Advisors. They are into structured trade finance. Firmware, this is into balance and vendor reconciliation. And of course, Rama Group. They are the host today. And a brief about Rama Group. Rama Group is an established group with a founder being Mr. Ram Agarwal and 4 of his directors. So a combined professional experience of around 50 years. That's great. A team of Rama has wide experience in the field of risk advisory and forensic audit services, apart from other areas like ERP implementation and assurances. They have worked across variety of industries. They have a resource full of CA, MBA, and they have experts on subject matter, more importantly. So in this way, Rama Group has developed a professional bonding, and by virtue of it, they have presence in more than 20 cities. So in this Rama Group, our today's speaker, CA Vishal Mandani, is leading the vertical of fraud detection and investigation practice. He's a seasoned speaker, of course, and he has professional experience of over 15 years in this field. Wow, that's great. We would be very eager to hear from you, Vishalji. He has worked on diverse assignments, including field investigation, surveillance, corporate fraud detection, insurance claim fraud, fund diversion, and variety other things. He is having an anti-money laundering certificate course accredited by ICAI, that is CA Institute. He is a member of BCA's internal audit committee. And there are many more, but with this brief introduction, may I request Vishalji to take charge of the session and please proceed. But before the speaker shall proceed, may I request everyone to be on a mute. They can put their queries into chat boxes. They are welcome. Queries shall be handled as far as possible at the end of the session. But if Vishalji found it fit, he can take it in between. So, Vishalji, please proceed. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir Bhai, for your crisp but comprehensive introduction of Rama as well as me. I will just take a moment to share my presentation with you all.
Don't throw.
A very good evening to one and all. Namaste. Now we all know that we are in this pandemic situation. So from hi, hello, the things have come back to the normal, that is our core namaste. So before I begin with my presentation, I really wish to share few things with you all in terms of understanding the fraud. Most of the time, whenever we talk about fraud, we have certain set of I will say concepts in our mind. Like when we talk about fraud, we talk about kickback, we talk about money laundering, we talk about certain things which are very categorically classified as frauds. But often we miss out certain things which are in day out are fraud, but somehow either we do not pay attention to it or we turn blind eye, either deliberately or otherwise. So I'm gonna have three things in my today's agenda. One is the open source, that is the website application available in public domain, which will really help us all, either doing the investigation, forensic assignment, or any routine assignment, right? Other thing is how to use this specific application and tools in investigation. I will touch upon each of this in detail as I move on in my presentation. And the third thing is the usefulness of field investigation techniques in the fraud detection. A recent ACFE survey, it shows that 60% of the respondents have said that they have already seen an increase in the fraud due to disruption accompanying the COVID pandemic. About 93% people expect that it will further increase in 12 months. So with this broader note, we understand that how important it is now. We really see how we can reduce and curb the possibility of future frauds. I'm going to take a small test. I'm sure most of you may be aware of this. Please bear with me in that case. Now in this test, I want all the participants to do a small activity. So there is a huge Bengal tiger standing in the bamboo, and your mission is to look for the hidden tiger in the given image. The image is right in front of you. You can start putting up your answers in the chat box. The time is starting now. Time is up. All right. How many of you could figure out where is the hidden tiger in this bamboo? Anyone? No. Right, friends, if you see the body of the tiger, it is written the hidden tiger. This is exactly what happens in our life. The things are right in front of us. But when we talk about tiger, we always keep on hunting, where is the tiger? Now the mission is very simple. It is to find the hidden tiger. But our eyes and mind, it is synchronized in such a way that our eyes will look for what? It will look for the image of tiger, image of another tiger, where we are supposed to check for the hidden tiger. With this, I'm going to talk about two things in my presentation. One is about the tools which are available very much in the public domain, which we all are aware of. But how frequently we are able to use it? It is not that we are not aware of it, but we do not know how and where to apply it. So that is one thing which we are going to talk in this presentation. And second thing is about the myth about the fraud. Now, when we talk about fraud, as I mentioned in my beginning, that when we talk about fraud, we have certain predominated thing in our mind. When we talk about fraud, we tend to ignore certain things which are very routine and very natural. Like, just to give you an example, when we talk about employee reimbursement, We all know that the employee who are claiming their reimbursement are not actually claiming what they have spent, but they are claiming what they are eligible. So here, though it is very small topic of discussion, but friends, putting all such issues together, when you look at the overall impact of such things on any organization, I'm sure it will be exponentially high. So putting all small things together, bringing up more and more controls in our system, we will really able to see that how it is helping us to bring our bottom line up. And this is where my presentation has been aligned. Now, when we talk about open source information, right, there is so much of information, there is plethora of platform available through which we can identify and get the relevant data that we need. I'm sure some of this platform you all must be aware of, either by experience or by repetitive search for. Now, when we talk about few such platforms, which are these platforms? Let's understand one by one. We talk about asset tracing, right? Now, in my example, I have covered how to trace the property. Often we see that we have certain defaulters right in front of us. Now, this defaulter, what are his properties? Where is his property? So at times it becomes so difficult, right, to trace. We hunt here and there to find out through investigations, through field survey. But along with this, we also have certain set of platforms available with us, using which we can definitely get this vital information. So I'm going to talk about such platform. Address verification. So when we talk about address verification, it is very much helpful when you have certain suspects, you have employees. So there are ample of places where we need certain kind of sanctity about the address. So what are the different platforms available for this that I'm gonna discuss in my presentation? Compliances. Friends, this is the area which is highly ignored. I must say that over a period of 15 years, whenever I talk about compliances, it is being given the last priority. Why? Because these compliances are merely the taxation, right? And as in when there is any default, it is a very simple excuse that the people will take a shelter of is we don't have a fund, right? We have certain issues at our end because of which we could not remit the money. So here I'm going to talk about some cases where we can really find out that the default is not just the inability of a person, but it is definitely a willful default. So how we can come to those cases that I will take you through. One more case I've taken is about the vehicle ownership in insurance claims or otherwise also in companies. How this information will be useful to us, I'm going to take up in my upcoming slides. Now, when we talk about asset tracing, this is purely the data from the government website, right? Now, using the name of a person, you can get to know different set of information, like what is the value of the property, what is the market value of the property. You can get the details of seller as well as the person who is purchasing the property, their age, their address, their PAN details, and these things are not generally available otherwise. So when you have a blend of such information available at your hand, along with the field investigation, we can become more and more thorough in our findings and our reporting. Last and but not the least, we also get the information about the last transactions, like when was the date of agreement, when it was registered, what was the property value at that point of time, and what is the stamp duty fees. So this is just one of the information I am sharing. So like that, we have a plethora of platform available with us through which we can get more such details, right? I've just given the reference of government website, through which we can retrieve all these details. Next is the address verification. Now, when we talk about address verification, we all know that one of the simplest thing we think of is about the employee. So at certain point of time, we need to check what is the address of the employee. Similarly, when we talk about bank, right? So in bank also, we need to track the address of people who are gonna, open the account with the bank. So in such cases, how this platform is available to us to check the addresses. Now, if you see, this is just an input and immediate output. This is the data what I have got it from our electoral site. So when you put the name and basic information about a person, you get to know the constituency of the person. And with the help of constituency, you can even reach to the exact address of that person, right? So all this information is very much available. Only thing is that how we use it, how we connect it, and how we link it with the objective we have of finding out the address or identifying any person. So all this information, when we start linking it with one another, I'm sure it will give you phenomenal results. The kind of confidence one person will gain for the assignment they are doing will be tremendously high. Because as you move on, you keep on getting different set of evidences, you keep on getting different type of connections, new concepts, and the new information, right? And when you collate all the information together, you will be able to make some kind of picture out of it. And once that picture is getting more and more clear, you will be achieving more towards your objective. For example, if your objective is to find the identity of any person, so with this type of information and the field investigation, I'm sure you'll be able to complete your assignment easily, seamlessly. Going to the next point. This point is very important. Provident fund. Now, at times when any organization think of a provident fund, they will think of provident fund for their employees. But friend, in most of the cases, organization also hire the people. We have a contractual people as well. Now, in case of such contractual people, being a principal employer, it is the responsibility of the organization to ensure that the compliances of such contractual employees is being taken care of. We often do what? We take the challans. Now, when we take the challans from our contractors, what it states? It gives you the number of employees, be 50, be it 100, right? And alongside, we get the value that they have remitted with the PF authority. Now, the thing is, how do we ensure that the people who are working with us on a contractual basis, the PF has been remitted for all of them? Can we assure? No, it is very difficult. And at times, we are behind the contractor that please furnish us the details. But this information is available with us. How? If you go to this employee provident fund site, what you need to do is you need to put certain basic information about the organization. And friends, what you get? You get the complete set of data. You get the month-wise payment that they have made for the number of employees. Now you will ask me a question, right? that where is the name of employee? How do you find that the employee who is working for us, they have made a payment for them? Now, if you look at these numbers, when you click on these numbers, you will get the name of all the employees. So to this extent, the information has been captured. It is just a matter how we use it. Now, along with this, there is certain trends and patterns that we can see. If you look at the data that I have highlighted here, now all of a sudden, if you see, all of a sudden, in March 18 and April 18, the number of count have significantly gone down, right? Proportionately, the amount has gone down. So this will also help us to know, is there any apparent ambiguity or any apparent red flag? If so, then we can have the upfront question to the concerned person or to the organization. So this kind of information is very much available with us, but most of the time, what we do is we rely on the organization to provide the details, we rely on the contractors to provide us the information, wherein we can independently check all these informations at our end. Coming to the next point, I hope I'm able to make my point clear, right? If you have any questions, you can always put it in the chat box. I will see I can answer it at an appropriate time.
Yeah, please proceed.
Next is about the vehicle ownership. Now, in insurance or in any organization, we always think that what way this information is helpful to us. But friends, I will just share one small example with you that how this information has helped me in unearthing certain set of wrongdoings. Now, when you look at the two sides of the data, one data on the left-hand side is from the e-Vahan side. Now, when you look at this information, right, it will not give me chassis number completely, it will not give me the engine number completely, but at other different sites in a public domain itself, I'm able to get the same details. However, this is not very much important at this point of time. The important thing is to know the owner of the car. So by simply putting up the vehicle number, you can get the name of owner. Now I will just share one case that we have found. When we were in the process of doing a thorough checking of vehicle hiring charges, we found that certain vehicles were abruptly alternatively used. Say for example, you have hired a Maruti, and on one fine day, as a replacement, you have been given a Mercedes car. Now, the person who was checking, he said it is little offbeat, that how is it possible that against Maruti, the person is giving his Mercedes. On this pretext, when we start digging out the information, we found that the owner of both the cars were one and the same. And when we matched their other credentials, we found that the person is none other than the relative of the admin head. So though it is very small, but yes, how we can connect these dots and achieve our objective is very important. So whenever in any organization, whenever we are doing certain set of activity relating to admin checking or investigating certain set of persons, it is very essential that in his context, what all activity he is doing. So suppose when we talk about admin activity, so vehicle is definitely one of the things that he must be taking care of. Similarly, the courier charges, which he is taking care of. So what kind of nexus is there? ticket booking, hotel booking, and believe me, favor is very common in our culture. Whenever I do something for another person, I, in any which ways, expect some kind of favor. And friends, this is the place where we get a birth of a fraud. Once you have that mindset, and once you crack it down with one person, you think of the same thing over and again with a different set of person. And then that becomes the culture of that organization. I must say, fortunately, the client with whom we are dealing, the management is very transparent. Whenever we do any kind of audit with them, they always give us the go ahead and get to the bottom of any of the investigation, any of the special assignments that we conduct. So the top management tone is very essential in unearthing any wrongdoings of the organization. And at the same time, what all they flow it down across the organization becomes the culture of the organization. If the management is transparent, clear, and clean in their objective, this is what they will flow across all the level of the company. So from top to bottom, people will have a more and more discipline in their work. Next is about the GST default. I'm sure we all hear about different type of GST defaults day in, day out, right? I'm just sharing one small example. Now, in this case, if you see, right, the person has a cancelled GST, right? Now here the GST has been cancelled. When is the last time when he has filed the return is not available. Like 1920, if you see, GSTR1 filing not available, right? So this kind of cases we are able to identify with the help of different software. Now, this software are available in public domain. Like GSTN network, we have this set of information available, which we can use to check that our vendor whom we are making the payment is in turn making the payment to the government authority or not. Section 16 of Act clearly states that you can take the input if the payment has been made to the body, the government body. Now in such situation, we believe that the person must have paid the money, but whether he has actually paid it or not, we do not know. But no longer that is a hurdle to us. By visiting such sites like on GSTN network, and there are also other private players who also provide such information in detail. Like on GSTN network, if I want to find out for a one particular GSTN that what is the history, when he has made the payment, when he has filed his return, I will be able to see one at a time. But there are specific softwares available for. Now, how this software is useful? If I want to check it for 500 of my vendors, I can do it at a one click. I just need to upload the details of those 500 GSTN on the software, and software will give me the whole information in Excel template. And I can straight away start checking those information. I can identify the people who have defaulted in the payment, and accordingly we can set a mechanism and whereby the concerned person from the organization will get in touch with the vendor, and the vendor will be asked to remit the outstanding dues. Unless it has been done, the forthwith payment will not be released from the company. With this kind of mechanism, I'm sure the company will be able to save a lot of value. Now, in this case, when we see that the person whose registration has been cancelled, and if he wish to make the payment today, he will have so much of burden where he will not only have to pay the amount, but he will also have to pay the interest. Now, in such situation, do you feel one person will go and make the payment of interest? Very difficult. So these are the places where we really need to see that what kind of mechanism we are putting in place so that we don't incur future liability, or we don't get such situation where the people who have the intent of not paying the GST keep on getting the GST reimbursement from us, and eventually organization is at loss. I will talk about the tools and application which are very specific. In my first session, I have spoken about the information and the app that is available on public domain. Now, in this session, I'm going to talk about certain tools which are very much useful in investigation. To start with, it is a face recognition. It is very much helpful in banks as well as in churning out the employees' data. GPRS tracker, which is more useful for the logistic companies to monitor their vehicle movement. Retrieve deleted data. Now, I'm sure many of us must be aware that how to retrieve the deleted data. At the same time, there are certain set of people who feel that once the data is deleted forever. So I will come to it that how the deleted data can be retrieved. And the last is the compile intelligent docket of information. Now, whenever we have any litigation, we need to compile a docket of evidence. So in this, the retrieving of deleted data equally plays a vital role. At the same time, the information which is available on the different set of computers, systems, how we can retrieve and make it in a form of an information docket is what I will discuss. Coming to the face recognition. Now, when we go to the different type of assignments, in some cases, we talk about the forms, different applications, right? So at many a times, we see that fake applications being made, fake accounts being opened. Now, how this can be curbed with the help of face recognition? There are tools available. Now, this tool will help in identifying the duplicate image, right? Which we all know how it happens. But there are certain logic behind it. This is called a fuzzy logic. I'm sure many of you must be aware of this. Now, how this fuzzy logic works. Now, if I have my photograph of 10 years back and one photograph of today, obviously it will not match up to 100%. So in such case, what we can do is, with the use of this fuzzy logic, we can set some percentage. We can say 70%, 80% match. So in setting up the percentage, as the percentage is high, more accurate and more similar images will be put together. Now I have just given two cases where in one case we have a different applications. Now in different applications, there are different set of photographs. Now what the system will do, what the software will do, software will identify all the 4 images, provided we give some leeway to it. Now if I make this fuzzy lookup and say the photograph which is matching at 100%, then perhaps it will just give me a couple of match. But if I bring down this percentage to say 80, maybe 70, so in that case, what it will do, it will match all the 4 photographs. So using this technique and tool, we will be able to identify the applications which have been used by the same person over a different period of time, or maybe during the same set of time with a different name or with a nominal change in the name. So one way is to put Vishal Mandani, another way is to put Vishal H. Mandani, another is to put VHM. So in practical scenario, what happens? One person with a different style of putting up their name, but with the same set of photograph, can have a different accounts, different applications, different forms. So with this technology, we will be able to identify. Now imagine when we have 70,000, 80,000 applications to check, how much we can do it manually and how much helpful it will be if we do it through the software. Right? The next is about retrieving the deleted data. Right? Now, when we talk about deleted data, so when we say data deleted from hard disk or such disk, where the data is being stored, it is just that the index of the data is removed. Like say, suppose if you have a report and you have put 10 things in the index, like you have 1 to 10 things, and then you have a detailed content of it. Now, when you delete the data, that means you are just removing the name from that index. So out of 10 things, if I have removed 1 thing from the index, that doesn't mean that the whole data has got deleted from the system. The data is very much there. So the tools that we are using will help us in retrieving this deleted data. And in most of the forensic assignment, we got the success by successfully retrieving this data, working on this data with key set of and the results were so quick at time that the whole assignment got over just in a span of 1 week. With so much of information available in those data, when we collated it, it was crystal clear that the allegations were so clear that we really don't have to go for any further investigation. The kind of results we were having in our hand were so convincing, and the person, the accused, had no choice but to make a submission upfront. So this is one of the strongest tool, I will say, because most of the people feel that the data, once they've deleted, can never be retrieved. Now, if you all must be aware that in case of Sushant Singh, it is not only that the hard disk data that has been retrieved, but the data from their WhatsApp were also retrieved. So the information which is there on the various platforms, there are different set of ways and means through which you can get such deleted data. Now I have just named few of the data recovery software: CrashPlan, Wise Data Recovery, Power Data Recovery. So depending on the volume and nature of the assignment, we can decide which type of software we need, right? I just mentioned about how to compile the docket of intelligent information. Now we have a ample information. When we say VM comes, we got a system data. Now, how do we know that where we should get this information? So it is important that we identify what are the keywords. the kind of based on that, we will identify that what could be the keywords. So suppose if we are doing any insurance claim, right? So in any insurance claim, hello, so in any insurance claim, know the people who are the beneficiaries. We know the complete set of information is diverged at the time of, and with this key information, when we match it with the actual evidences that we have got, just to give you a small example, in one of the assignment, we found that the person had diverged the information that he don't drink. So when the whole set of data was scanned, certain set of informations were plotted. Like what are the exceptions? So when the such exception report was matched and the results which were given to us, now in the evidences or the results those were given to us, there was a post-mortem report. Now in this post-mortem report, it was explained that the cause of death was excessive drinking. Now when the entire set of data, when it was plotted into the system, few words were matched and put together. Now when we saw the two different documents side by side, then the case was very clear. So what happens, the keywords, when you start running with the keywords all throughout the data, the different documents with the match will be brought together. So it will really help to narrow down your search and concentrate on certain keywords and try and see how best we can conclude it. Now, for vehicle tracking case study, as far as vehicle tracking is concerned, if we try to do it through the audit, how it will appear? What I've done is I've just given the three cases. Like if I try to do this activity manually, how it will appear? So I've given three cases where these are the three trips made by three different trucks.
मेरा
Now in case number 1, the number of days taken is 6. In case number 2, the days taken 5.
बायोलॉजी लिख ले
In case 3,
क्या चलेगा
Vishal ji, sorry to
क्या है
interrupt.
हाँ,
Rajni Baheti ji. Yeah, please continue.
yeah. So in the third case, again it is 5. So in practical situation, if I sit down with all the three database and compare one with another, then I will get to know that in two cases, the days taken to complete the trip is 5, where in one of the exception case it is 6. And then we inquire that what is the reason for taking one additional day, right? Now this is a situation when we do it manually. But believe me, when you have your entire GPRS tracker, right? You just have to click on a particular period. You just have to click on the sector and it will give you entire information about the trucks that have moved from this sector and how much time it has taken. Any exception, you don't have to manually sit and pluck it out, but that exception will be readily available to you. Now in this case, when we checked, we got to know that the additional time was taken because the truck which was running on a dedicated basis was actually not picking up the goods from X to Y, but it was taking certain goods, from other vendors, and that was the reason why it was taking additional day. So that means if I have engaged a particular logistic company or I have engaged with a particular vendor who will solely supply their uh, trucks to us, they are not abiding by it. They are also using such trucks for their personal purpose. When we had got the further details like toll receipts, we got to know that the vehicle was not moving in the direction where they were supposed to, but they are going at some other places to pick up the goods, and from whom also they were charging the money. The company was at loss because they were giving money for this one additional day, as well as the variable cost that they were paying to the subcontractor for the part of the journey which was not incurred for them. So these are the losses to the company. But if I have 100, 200 vehicles which I am hiring, do you think is it possible for us to sit down and do this activity manually? No. So we need some kind of tools, we need some kind of mechanism through which we can monitor this, right? Now I'm just gonna talk about one field investigation case study. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of my session, that most of the time we believe that the fraud is very selective cases. But this case really opened my eyes. I was really forced to think a little differently. Now, in this case, management had an issue that there are high wastages or consumption of material. So when we had gone for the field study, what we could see is that the person was removing material from the spindles. Now this company was manufacturing yarns, right? So once their yarn is complete, the spindle is complete, the person is just supposed to take it off from the machine and pack it out. But surprisingly, in this case, the complete set of spindle was there, but the person was literally moving material from that spindle. The next thing that we saw is that the person is continuously weighing. So after removing some portion of the material, the person was again weighing it. After weighing, again he was taking it out, again removing certain set of material and again weighing it. And the material that he pulled out from the spindle was thrown into the dustbin, right? I was not able to understand what was going on. Person is doing some kind of weighing, removing, and then eventually, putting that whole spindle into the packing material box. Next day morning, when we visited the plant again and we met the warehouse in charge, we inquired that do you have any system of weighment or any kind of concept of weighing all the spindles? He said, yes, sir, we have a concept of weighing because the material which are up to 50 kg are inferior quality. The material which are exactly 50 kg, these are very high quality. Material which are in a range of 50 to 51 kg are semi-high, and above 51 is again a poor quality. Now, I said, if that is the case, why people are removing material? So he just said that since the laborer have the incentive based on their production, so if I have more production of 50 kg, my incentive will be the highest. And if I have anything above and below, my incentive will dilute. Now, with this understanding, we really felt that how we say that this is a fraud, because for the person who is doing it, for him it is a simply earning more incentive. He will not understand. But how this policy and process has been framed, how it is monitored, right? So this has equally very much importance when we look at any kind of investigation or we look at any kind of assignment. Thank you so much for hearing me out. If you have any questions, I'm open for it.
Thank you, Vishalji. Thank you for such a lovely and brief presentation. As such, the topic is one can definitely speak for the entire day, but you have summed up the things in with your definitely an experience and summarized it in a very beautiful way. Thank you very much. Uh, I would request the participants if they have any query, then definitely they should come forward. No queries from participants. So he has Nilesh Savanji has given a message in chat box. Thanks, very nice presentation. But Nileshji, if you have any queries, you can definitely ask. And thank you for your such a lovely message. Thank you. Yes, friends, it was definitely a lovely presentation. We all know loophole exists, but with the help of these techniques, one can easily insulate, and if not, definitely mitigate against the risk of loss to the organization. We know the power of information, but here we should know, we should be able to retrieve intelligent information, because intelligent information with the help of these tools shall help us to overcome the fraud, if any. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much for patience hearing. And again, we would like to thank you, Vishalji, to come forward and he has given such a nice presentation of this topic. Friends, the presentation shall be mailed to you. So definitely uh, be assured. But if someone wants the recording of this event, then definitely they should make a specific request for that. This is what our point is. Rajeshji, if you want to add anything, then definitely you are welcome. Or else we can end the day, end the session. Okay, great. Okay, Vishalji, thank you very
Okay.
much.
Samir bhai, thank you.
We shall mail the presentations. We can mail the presentations to everyone.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you. Thank you,
Once again.
everyone. Thank you, Samir bhai. Thank you. कर दिया ना सेशन एंड करना अच्छा कर दिया नाइस नाइस कर दिया